All right, ready?
Sure.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started. So this is just a reminder to make sure that you are not on your phone, that your earbuds and headphones are taken off, and we're being really respectful listeners today. So our topic this week is, who do you want to become? And we have two presenters who are going to speak to us more about how do we go about sculpting that. What does that look like? And so please help me in welcoming. We have Terri Passow and Pennie Reis, and they are part of the first year student achievement group program, okay? So if everybody could help me in welcoming them, we'll get started.
Okay, so before we fully start, does everyone have Play-Doh?
Yes.
Okay, if you're missing Play-Doh, let us know, because you need it. It's important and fun. Okay, everyone, I'm Terri. I serve as the Director of Career and Professional Development here at Marian. So I've actually had the chance to connect with some of you already, but I oversee our Career Center over in Agnes Hall. So you'll hear a little more about that today and obviously throughout your time here at Marian. But just wanted to start by introducing myself.
Hi, my name is Pennie, and I am the advisor for the business department. So if you're a business student, I've been hanging out with you at some point probably this semester, but that is my role, which is also a good time to remind you if you didn't sign up for classes to do so, because, you know, that's my other role. All right.
Cool. Well, to get started today, we are going to give you a little taste of what we plan to talk about. So really it's centered on helping answer two questions. The first one is the one that Kelly gave us gave you as we started. And then we added a second one because we thought maybe you'd like some kind of action, right? Some context to action. So the first thing is, who do I want to become? So we want to help you think about some of the things you've done this semester. We'll go through it in more depth, but you've done a lot of stuff already that's helping you figure out how to be a successful student. But ideally, that stuff is actually translating out to help you be successful in your future careers and just in your life overall. So we want to kind of recap some of that, connect the dots, kind of bring it full circle. And then we also want to help you figure out how you get there, right? So what are some of the things action-wise you can be doing that will help you achieve the goals you might set once you've figured out what version of you might want to become, what are the steps you can take to get there. So there's a couple different things we're going to talk about tied to that as well. So to start, everyone has Play-Doh. Did this cut out? There we go. Everyone has Play-Doh. Take it out of its package. You get to play with it. And to start, I want you to think and then create a simple shape that represents something about who you want to become in the future. I'm leaving you purposefully open. You decide what that means, but you have a minute or two to use your Play-Doh to create a shape that symbolizes something about who you want to become in the future. You should put a little timer on all the slides. With like Jeopardy music?
Like the Caesar woman?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Give me a flip. The question?
In a second. How are we doing? We got a simple shape. Don't go too elaborate on me. We got to keep moving. We feeling good? We got some shapes? We're good? Okay. So now as you finish up your shape, think about this question. And then I'm going to make you do that thing where you find a partner next to you. And you talk to that partner. You get a minute each, so that's 2 minutes total, to share with your partner what shape you created and a quick explanation of why that shape connects to who you want to become. What shape did you create? A blob?
I just have
Okay. Okay, why? Because of your plant? Your plant? I love it. Exactly. Exactly. I'm asking for them to say this out loud? Am I asking for like a couple examples?
Yeah.
The explanation's part of the deal. It's okay. Okay, if you haven't switched to the other partner yet, do that so the other person gets to explain their shape and why it connects to what they want to do in the future, be in the future. This guy is crushing his future. You still haven't gone? You gotta go. Sorry, I'm inserting myself in your very brief description. All right, I'm gonna have you bring it back in. You'll get more opportunities to use your Play-Doh, I promise, so stick with me, don't ruin your shape yet. Do we have maybe like 2 volunteers who want to tell us what shape they created and how it connects to helping us understand what they want to become in the future? Yeah.
Okay, so like Madden's gold.
It's gold, okay. Her orange, it's a star?
It's a gold star.
Oh, it's a gold star.
Like best remarks get like a gold star, and I want to be like the best at what I do.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Right on the assignment, well done. One more, who else has had something? You all did it, you were all talking, I heard you. Yeah, what do we have up here?
I'm going to volleyball because I wanted to be a football player.
Okay, perfect. And easily accomplishable in the shape of the Play-Doh. I love it.
All right. When talking about our goals of what we want to become, a lot of times we talk about values. Does anyone know what a value is? Any value ideas? Marian has core values. Go ahead.
Something that's important to you.
Something that's important to you. Kind of shapes what you want to do, right? And so we are going to look at values. Some of those are listed up there. Some of them may be some of your own values. Some of them may not be. All right, so let's grab our Play-Doh. And we're going to think of one personal value that guides your decisions. Create a new shape symbolizing that value. So a value that guides your decisions. While you're thinking about this, it might be something that helps guide what your future goals might be. So for example, if you are someone who's really important, environment's really important, you might look at a career that is working environmental issues, or at least making good decisions related around the environment. Recently, I was at a dinner, and one of the organizations there really talked about their importance of God in their company. It's a private organization, and so if your faith is really important, that might be an organization you might want to work at. Incorporating those values into what you're doing is going to make it's going to make a big difference in making it be something that you enjoy doing. So do we have our shapes? All right, with your partner, once again, share your new shape with the partner and explain its shape and its meaning. All right, let's bring it back. Does anyone want to share what shape they made?
I heard some awes from this side of the room. That must have been lovely. Why were we awing? That's lovely.
There's another awe.
So I made a heart that I value relationships.
Okay, so value of relationships.
Oh, I see the awe.
Right.
Get it?
Also probably means that you don't want to work by yourself, right? That's probably not a good option for you. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, go ahead, down here in front.
Oh, go ahead. You put a cross? Okay, because God helps you get through the day. So once again, a faith-based organization, or at least somewhere that you might be able to express your faith or incorporate it into your life in some way, shape, or form. Thank you.
Perfect. So we just wanted to help you see one of the assessments that you should have done earlier this semester was kind of uncovering some of those values. Well, like I said, we're going to try to connect the dots on some of the things you've already done and how they all start to come together, right? Pennie and I are lucky enough to kind of be a turning point of sorts in how we talk about the content of your class. So you want to make sure that your values are taken into consideration. Another assessment that you did pretty early, in fact, I believe in like first week of class, was you went online and you answered a bunch of pages of an assessment. They were like it looked kind of like a chart. Is this sounding familiar? And it was like a bunch of behaviors, and then you had to be like, oh, this sounds a little bit like me, or I do this a lot, or I really don't do this at all. None of that was right or wrong answers. It was just helping us kind of help you establish a baseline for where some of your skill sets might be, or kind of what you bring to the table. It is developed out of research that comes from an organization called NACE. And what that organization does is it brings together people like me at a college who want to help you be as prepared as possible for life and your future career, but it brings us together with employers, which are the people who you hope will help you get a job someday, right? That sounds lovely. And so that is really critical and helpful for us to understand what we can help you do that will allow you to build the skills that employers are looking for, no matter what kind of job you think you might want to go do. Some of us know, some of us have no idea, some of us might shift and change. But what we know from talking to those employers and learning about that research is that there are these 8 critical areas that are important for everybody, right? And that's what you see up here on the screen. We've referred to these at Marian as our SABRE core, with the thought that these are those critical components that we know all students should have for success as a student, right? If you look at this list, these are all things that are coming into play already for you now, and they're going to be the things that help you moving forward. And so what we want to do is help you figure out kind of where am I sitting on this stuff as we get started with the college experience, and then it's our intention and our plan to give you lots of opportunities to develop in these areas. You have to take advantage of those opportunities, and then you get to grow and develop those skills as well. So keep in mind that that's where that assessment comes into play, and this may help you moving forward, thinking about how you can, what activities you can be doing to grow in these areas. Think about how you can use that to your advantage moving forward.
One of the cool things that I'd like to also point out is both of the people who just gave examples of values, we could easily fit them into one of those 8 SABRE cores. Relationships, teamwork, kind of need those. Being able to accept and celebrate your faith, equity and inclusion, accepting everyone for who they are and what they bring to the table. And so that's a really important value of, or important part of the SABRE core as well.
Perfect. So now with your Play-Doh, you don't necessarily have to create something, you have to think. So you can squeeze it for brain power, but I'm not going to make you make a shape at the moment. But we've made you make a couple already, right? We've made you think about what your future might look like. And we've made you think about what values you might use to integrate in as you come up with what that plan might be. What I'm curious about now, so think about this for a moment, and then I'm going to ask for a couple of volunteers to say more. What additional resources could we have given you? I gave you a blob of Play-Doh, fairly small. You get what you get, right? What else could you have had that would have made it easier for you to create shapes that gave us a better picture of what you want to become in the future or what values you bring to the table? What are some of the things that might have helped you in that process? What could you have had, what additional resources could you have had to make that work even better? Someone? Someone said it. I cut you off again. Scalpel, so like some sort of like sculpting tool. Deal. What else?
I see the phone.
A phone? Tell me more.
What's it called? Just search it up. Search up a picture.
So figure out what either future you want or what value you want to represent and see if you could find something to kind of model it after. Perfect. What else? More Play-Doh. Were we a little limited on how much we had in our hand, quite literally, right? You could only create something of so much. What else? What? A mic? Oh, like you wanted to say something about it?
The mic is essential because I think being a marketing student, so mic or the speaking capacity is
Perfect, yeah. So he's suggesting that it would have been helpful, if I'm paraphrasing correctly, you tell me if I'm wrong, essentially that you would have liked the opportunity to explain and maybe promote it a little bit. As a marketing student, you see extra value or extra importance on being able to kind of explain and show people why that might be important or why that's what you use to answer the question, right? Awesome. Perfect. So that's very much in line with what Pennie and I were thinking too. Some of you maybe had multiple colors in your tub to start, but if you mixed them together, you probably got one weird looking color instead. Sometimes multiple colors could have helped, right? Depending on what you want to do. Another one that Pennie and I thought of is hearkening back to one of the Sabre core competencies, which kind of sounds like teamwork. What if you had been able to work with someone else, either to craft your item together or borrow their Play-Doh to create it and then maybe let them use yours so they either have more or new colors or are able to do more. So really, the idea of that question is trying to serve as an analogy to say that if you had had more tools in your toolbox, you might have been able to accomplish more, right? That's the idea behind Sabre Core. If we can help you develop in those areas, and there are skills that go beyond that, those are kind of categories of skills, right? If we can help you develop in those areas, give you opportunities to grow, understand the importance, then you've put more in your toolbox that no matter what you go out and do, whether it's you as a student, you in one certain job, you in 6 different jobs over the course of your time, whatever it is, if you can take those tools with you and you have them, you can create potentially a better end result, right? You're allowed to be more nimble, you're allowed to accomplish more, you have that ability. And so we want to make sure that you're viewing skills that you bring to the table as the tools you're using to think about what those goals are and how you can work to achieve them. Me still. Oh, hey, it's still me. We did this like back and forth thing, but not every slide, and so you get stuck with me again. So another piece that we want to cover that you all completed this semester was Strengths Quest. Does that sound right too? Feel familiar? You got some strengths. There's a possibility of like 34 of them. You got a top 5, right? So the idea in this one, in addition to some of the skills, right, it's kind of a nice transition, that strengths helped us learn some languaging that gives us an idea of what we bring to the table. Might be as an individual, in an employment setting, might be in a team setting, whether that's at work or in school, but it's kind of what we bring with us as the strengths we can offer to help accomplish a goal, achieve something, whatever it might be. So here's what I want you to do. Play-Doh out again. Mush it into a ball. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it can't be in any other shape. It's got to be in a ball-like experience. And then set it down right in front of you. You all have very good Play-Doh rolling techniques, I would just like to say. Thank you very much. Okay.
Some skills to the table.
It's skills for your resume, my friends. How to shape Play-Doh into a ball. Well done. Okay, so your ball of Play-Doh is sitting in front of you. Now here's your task. I need you, but you can't start till I give you all of the components of this, right? I want you to turn that ball of Play-Doh into the shape of a diamond, but you can only use one hand. So now pick up your ball of Play-Doh, one hand, make a diamond shape. Go. Yeah, step 1, smush the ball if you want, like get it out, that's cool. But then make it into a diamond shape, but you can only use one hand. You still have a human. You're supposed to have a ball that turned into a diamond. We'll turn it into a diamond, all right. Do we have some diamonds? We feeling good about it? Okay. Okay, I'm seeing that our balls of Play-Doh have been transformed. Okay, ready? Now I want you to turn it into a ball again. Nope, you can use both hands, turn it into a ball. You could challenge yourself and use only one, but you're allowed to use both hands in the moment. Okay, we balled back up. Put it down in front of you. Now the hand you didn't use the first time, pick up the ball of Play-Doh and make a diamond. Ooh, we have good smash skills on both sides. Okay.
I heard an oh no out there too, those directions.
We did hear an oh no. How are we doing? Do we have diamonds? All right. So, anyone have a thought on what the point of this would be? I'll help you. So the first time, how many of you picked up the ball of Play-Doh with what we'd consider your dominant hand, the hand you'd normally write with? Raise your hand. Who did that? Who picked the ball up with their dominant hand the first time? Just about, if not every one of you, right? And then what happened when I told you to use the other hand? It what? You were more successful. Look at you. Well done. Don't look at you. Okay, I won't look at you. For most people, how did it feel to have to use the other hand? It was okay. Did it take a little longer? Not any longer. Okay. Was it a little more challenging? Yes.
Did you
Okay.
maybe have to think about it and try and keep that other hand aside?
Mine turned out better.
Okay.
But did it take longer?
You know,
You think?
I failed technically and yeah.
So you learned the first time and you made some adjustments to your process. Not exactly the point we're aiming to make here, but I don't hate it. It works very well, actually, with the broader conversation we have going on today. So for many of us, and I'll tell you that it obviously wasn't the experience for everyone, but play along with me here. When I asked you to pick it up with the opposite hand, there were audible oh no's in the room, which I suspect is because, in theory, it's harder to use your non-dominant hand, right? It's not what we normally do. We could do it, but probably for a lot of us it took longer. We had to think harder about it. We might have created a better end result, but maybe it's because we got to do it the first time. Maybe it's because we took longer to think about it. But realistically, the point here is that I didn't ask you to pick it up with a certain hand or even say dominant hand, right? I just said do it. And there was some sort of natural inclination for you. That's the idea behind strengths. It doesn't mean that when you look at this list of 34, or even think more broadly, right? There are others out there that you might identify as strengths in yourself. It doesn't mean we can't ever be able to achieve those things or work in that space or bring that strength to the table, but there are certain things that are just sort of our natural inclinations. Just like you picked up your Play-Doh with a certain hand, and then when I made you do it the other way, for many of us, took an extra beat, needed some extra focus, a skill we could develop, something we could get better at, but it took a little bit more to think through. That's the idea with strengths and how those also come into play when you're working to answer that question of who do I want to become. Because if we pursue paths that don't utilize our strengths at all and focus on areas that are more of a challenge or take a lot more effort or work, it doesn't mean we should never put effort or work in, but we also want to make sure that we're hitting the areas that are our natural spaces, right? That's the idea here, that we want to make sure you're utilizing that and that you're utilizing those strengths to help you with setting those goals, helping you answer the question, who do I want to become, that kind of thing. Okay, so you get to play with Play-Doh again. This is fun, right? Okay, so we're still thinking about strengths. We kind of now understand the importance, the value, what they help us do. So think about something in the fairly recent, right? I'm not going to give you a specific timeline, but fairly recent accomplishment, something you're proud of, something you did. Can you create a symbol of the strength you used to achieve that? So I'm putting myself on the spot because I didn't think about it like this before, but like, I would say getting this presentation ready for you today goes on the list of something that I'm counting as an accomplishment, because Pennie and I prepped it last week and my computer wiped it out this weekend. So I got to reimagine the entire PowerPoint last night. So maybe I would create with my Play-Doh a phone, because I frantically texted Pennie last night and said, can you help me think of the points for the PowerPoint? Because I got to recreate it, right? But I used my communication skills to work with her to redevelop the presentation. Kind of a silly example, but that's what we're getting at. So what's that something that maybe you're proud of or an accomplishment, but shape the strength that you used to make that accomplishment happen? Ask them. And then as you finish up, find your partner again and share with them that new symbol you created and how using, look at my communication's not great. That still says skill, but really it should be a strength. So bear with me here. How that strength will help you or did help you in achieving that accomplishment. Because I feel like if I wasn't in shaded light, I would be like bright red right now. And not like in like a, but the rest of my body doesn't feel terribly hot. So that's usually what I'm Ugh. Is that happening? Yeah. Yeah. Fun. All good things. We got 20 minutes left, so I feel like we're okay, but we're not gonna be short.
I was told Diana was on vacation. It doesn't look like a good vacation.
She traveled. I don't doubt she's just being practiced. She was on a plane. She was in tropical island for a wedding. All right, you're next. Are we having them reflect on this one? Offer a thing? Or just go?
Just do one person.
Okay. As you wrap up with talking about your strength, can we have just one volunteer tell us what strength they crafted and how it helped them achieve that accomplishment? Go ahead.
Right, so it's like a stop, like a no sign.
Okay.
Because I see it as like resilience. Because like I resisted spending money and everything cars.
Perfect. So her example, is it okay if I say, okay. So she created the little, you know, the no sign, like circle with the line through it, like, hey, don't do this kind of thing. That's the symbol that she used to represent the strength for kind of like being able to have some restraint. And then she was able to save up some money and purchase a car, which is a big goal that she had, right? So big accomplishment, something she's proud of, and the symbol that reflects it. Thank you for sharing that.
All right, now you're probably wondering, okay, so this is cool, they let us play with Play-Doh, but why did they pick Play-Doh? Was there a reason behind it, or was it just Play-Doh? You all walked in, most of you started playing with the canisters right away, we saw Play-Doh already in use, you probably smelt it, and it felt very much like your childhood, right? And with feeling like your childhood, you're probably like, yeah, this was like a mega corporation. They've always been Play-Doh. This is awesome. That's not actually true. And there's a reason that we picked Play-Doh is because it tells a lot of the story, which we want you to consider today. So I am going to share the video of why Play-Doh became Play-Doh.
Let's hope the volume works. Nope.
But did you know Play-Doh is supposed to be wallpaper?
Hang on, I'll go back so we get it louder. There. Whoop. Play.
Play-Doh is supposed to be wallpaper cleaner? It all starts in the 1930s with a massive problem. Houses are heated by big, black, dusty coal, and the soot is destroying the wallpaper. So in comes a soap company called Cut-All Products, and they've come up with this weird doughy stuff, and when you rub it on your walls, all the coal, soot, and stuff sticks to it. And it works great, but by the 1950s, the world changes, and nobody is using coal heating anymore. So nobody needs the dough, and it's just sitting around doing nothing. Until one day, the company's owner's sister takes some in sent to her nursery school. It turns out it's softer than modeling clay, and the kids go absolutely nuts for it. And she tells her brother, this dough, it's a gold mine, but there's gotta be a better name than cut-all, wall cleaner, non-crumbly type. And since then, they renamed it to Play-Doh, and more than 3 billion cans of the stuff have been sold.
All right, so really quickly, it was wall cleaner. How many of you are excited ever as a child or even now to play with wall cleaner? If we would have handed you a can of wall cleaner and been like, okay, this is the weirdest day ever in SCP 100. They just handed us wall cleaner. Is it a service day? What's going on here? And what happened to the walls on campus over the weekend? However, we know things happen. Things happen in life, things happen to the Cuddle company. And so it's a lot of times of what are we going to do with that when those things happen? What can we rely on? And so the next question I have for you is if you needed to choose a different path for your future, create a symbol to represent this new path. What would it look like?
Because I didn't put the transition on this one. I guess I missed the transition on this one. Why? Because the reflect is already up there. Sorry. I failed. I failed again. Just like I failed with the word. I'm just kidding.
As soon as you get that shape done, you're going to talk to the person next to you. You can see it already. Share how that symbol may or may not have changed from the first round and from your original path.
Okay, want me to give an example? I just thought of a good one. What would be the shape of plants? So what shape could I because I would be too high. Because then I realized that veterinarians also like to see animals that are sick and would probably die, so I decided so instead I found and I don't think you should do that. Oh yeah. Like think of, like to demonstrate the proof, like your symbol may not actually have changed, and then you could like tell them, yeah, like, oh, this was my original plan, this is the symbol I might have made. We could still use that symbol, but here's the path I want instead. Yeah. Yeah, and so you could have drawn a person, and because you wanted to help people. Yeah, you should do that. Good idea. Good pivot.
All right, does anyone want to share their symbol? What is your symbol now? So for example, when I was probably in 3rd grade, I had to write a biography, including what was my future going to be. And I wrote, I wanted to be a teacher. So my symbol probably would have been a student and helping them. What did I end up doing eventually? Well, it changed along the way. Eventually, I have a degree in marketing and communication. And then I went on from my undergrad to grad school to work with college students and help them with their future. So my symbol probably wouldn't have changed a whole lot. However, what my career, what my path has, definitely changed. And so think about it that way. Did anyone have the same symbol? Is there any examples of that? Okay, what did you have? Do you want to share?
Both MP and I's uninfluenced one another made photos.
Okay.
So he had narrow, like, and make a different direction or like get in.
Awesome. Anyone else want to share? So what did we learn from the Play-Doh story? What are some things that we learned? It's okay to be adaptable, right? That's not a bad thing, because really was what they were making at the time that they were making wall cleaner, they were never going to make as much money as they now do as Play-Doh. They also were not going to make as many people happy with the wall cleaner as they do with Play-Doh. Once again, when I talked about it a few minutes ago, we talked about how happy a lot of you were when you came in. You're like, it's Play-Doh day. This is going to be a good day.
That was not lost on us. We may or may not have tried to bribe you into enjoying our time together today.
The other thing that you might want to think about is what was some of the common denominators from the first symbol you made all the way to this last symbol? They were all Play-Doh, right? So imagine that the Play-Doh is you. Things can change over time. You might acquire new skills, you might acquire new values, you might have a new path, but as long as you're true to you, that's really the most important part. The object doesn't change, just what the appearance might change along the way.
Perfect. And that leads us into, we just wanted to, again, try to help connect the dots. So remember that second question the first question was, who do I want to become? It's not a question we can answer for you, but one we're reposing to you, trying to help you think of the components that might help you answer that question for yourself. But the second question was, how do I get there, right? Like, what steps could I be taking? Again, not something we can answer for you, but something we can offer you some insight on to give you things to think about. We also wanted to make sure that you see the connection to the final project you have for this class, right? Where you're being tasked to answer those 4 questions that are up on the screen. So they're gonna look different for everybody. Visually, how you prepare that project is gonna look different. How you answer those questions is gonna look different, what goes into it for you, but y'all could be thinking about things like your values, your strengths, the skills, all of that. But rather than just leave you with a question hanging, we thought, why don't we help give them some action steps to think about? So as you work to do that, we wanted to offer you some concepts that are known as design concepts or design mindset, right? The idea here is that creating a plan, for whatever that might be. It might be as simple as creating a plan for what you're going to eat for dinner, to creating a plan for what your life might look like, or at least a path or two of that life. You have to take an active role in that process. It's a design process, right? So it's the idea that achieving goals, working towards those things, aren't things that happen by mistake. Even quote unquote lucky people are lucky because they did something, right? They put active involvement in, and they hit on things like the 5 mindsets that you see here. So we're just gonna cover those 5 and offer you some ideas. But as we overview them, we definitely want you to be thinking also about what examples might you be able to come up with that would fall into those categories.
The reason that we talk about designer mindsets is because they're taking an active role. So for example, if you were designing a car, you wouldn't just draw the car and be like, okay, let's take it to production and put it out on the road. No, you would design the car and then you'd make clay models of it. You'd work with engineers, figure out all the pieces, and keep on going back and making it better. Eventually, once you had a vehicle that was going to drive, you wouldn't jump in it. You'd put a crash dummy in it, right? You're going to make sure that it's safe and it's something that you want to do. And so there's a lot of process of designing something before you just go out and go, okay, we're going for a ride. And so kind of keeping that in mind. The first one is to be curious. And so when things are happening, stop, think about it, and ask more questions. For those of you who might have from Strengths Quest, the learner or input, those are naturally curious curious people. Constantly think about that, of how can I make this better? What does this mean? Why does this exist? Think about that child who's constantly looking and having that imagination. Some of the ways that you can put this into action could include joining organizations and attending events. And so learning more about what's out there and exploring things that you didn't already know about. Exploring campus in Fond du Lac. Experimenting with new hobbies and skills. Let's say that you know nothing, you don't like art. It might be something to just try. See if it's something new that you can explore with. And then also interview with someone in a profession that you might be interested in. And then interview with someone that you might be in a profession that like you have a sort of interest, but it's probably not your thing, because it might end up being your real thing.
Another key component to that kind of design process, right, how you go from idea to action, is to try stuff, right? So you'll never know if a new recipe is a food that you like if you never make it and try it. Or you never know if the new car you designed works if you never go through the effort but then do that testing to give it a try, right? So you can't just think about stuff, you gotta take action. So thinking is an important part of the process, you have to do that brainstorming, but then you also have to figure out how you can move forward, actually build and make stuff happen. So a couple ideas that we thought we'd share with you on what this might look like in terms of kind of stage of where you're at. This would be a great time for where you are right now moving forward to do things like job shadows and internships. So, Pennie suggested in the Be Curious stage that maybe you talk to somebody who does a job that you're intrigued by, or you connect with someone who's in a field that you're interested in. And that's a great first step, and then you gotta try it out, right? So that's things like job shadowing. So use that connection that you've made to get a chance to see what a day in the life of an accountant looks like, or a nurse, or marketing, a social media marketer, name whatever other profession you might be thinking about, right? Internships take it even a step farther. It's not just looking at what it is and kind of getting a short taste, it's really engaging and trying that thing out to see how good of a match it is for your skills and your interests and the strengths that you bring to the table. This is also a good time to partner up with your academic advisor and think about what classes you could be taking that will help you explore some of the areas. So maybe it's taking an art class, even if you aren't an art major, but maybe you're a marketing major and there's a way to sign up for something like an art class, or a different communication class, or something where you get to broaden out your horizons and try something new that goes beyond what just kind of the standard might be. We also wanted to offer that one of the things you can do is attend things like workshops and seminars. May or may not be a shameless plug for the fact that our team in student success offers this every semester, and we would love for you to come hang out with us in these. But we purposefully design a series of workshops and other events that are here to try to get you to think about new ways to solve problems, or try something new, or learn about a topic that you didn't already know about. That's the way that you can really dive in and give those things a try to see what might stick, what might not be good. Sometimes taking stuff off the list by trying it out is just as important as putting it on. So that's some ways that you can think about how you could get that kind of action step going.
All right, the next one is reframing problems. And the best way I can give for an example of this is I have a 2-year-old, and this is what my weekend looked like. He has an older brother who has a tablet, and he decided he wanted that tablet. And so the first time he wanders through and he goes over and he grabs the tablet, and I say, no, you can't have this tablet. Back away. So then the next thing I know is he's going underneath tables and around chairs, and he's going to figure out how to get this tablet. Just because there was a blocker, Mom, in the way the first time, he's going to figure out a solution for this entertainment. And this is what he's aiming for. This is what you also need to do, is look for new solutions to a problem. Sometimes it might also be figuring out if the right problem is the problem that you're working on. Some ways that you can do this include, like Isaac, looking for solutions to multiple problems, or multiple solutions to the problem. Also figuring out if we need to figure out what the solution and what the problem is. So maybe it is like I gave you the example of I want to help people and help students. Well, I figured out that wasn't my thing. I didn't want to be a teacher, but I do want to work in a college and help students in a different way. So being that adaptable person, and then also volunteering with a campus or community organizations and seeing what else is out there, seeing how other organizations, how other people deal with problems, and how you can be a service to them.
Cool. Another component that you should keep in mind is asking for help, right? It's that idea of teamwork, that partnering up with people. And it may not be saying, I need you to solve this problem for me, but it may be just that idea of working together, right? Multiple minds usually come up with a variety of ideas. And so that might be the approach you take in a class project, or when you hit the ground running at work, work with others. But you also could use that help to explore some of those alternative options, right? So in my example, Pennie's example of what her pivoted path might look like, her symbol didn't change. Mine would have. When I was little, I wanted to be a veterinarian, so I would have maybe made like a dog. And then it turns out that veterinarians don't just get to pet puppies all day long. Animals get sick and not so lovely things happen, and blood is my least favorite thing in the world. So veterinarian I would have had to smash that Play-Doh structure and create a totally new one. Now, when I had to kind of get rid of the initial structure, I'm not sure I knew what that next step looked like. And so it was a matter of making those connections with other people that helped me start to figure out what I might be interested in. And so getting some of that support and some of that guidance. So some of the things you can do there would be like find a mentor, and that can be formal or informal. It might just be chatting with people. It might be people here on campus. For me, when I was a college student eons ago, that's when the things clicked. I was doing an on-campus student job and just had a really good connection with someone I was working with and realized I could hang out with college students as my job for the rest of my life. Like, that finally flipped the switch for me, right? So it took me a little longer, where sometimes it clicks in place sooner. But that connection, that partnership, that conversation that I was able to have really helped me find that guidance and make those changes in my brain. Forming study groups and getting connected to like academic related organizations could be another really good way to make some of those connections, get help now as a student. And then again, maybe sort of another plug, but using your campus resources is huge. So I know you probably focused on that pretty early in the semester, so hopefully this is not new information for you, but we thought we'd write a few of them there. Both kind of the direct sense of help in that people like the Learning and Writing Center will help you with those kinds of assignments, and your advisor will help you with class registration. But the reality is those are also just really good resources for you to start to think through those options, build those relationships. Faculty connections are also huge, and so they tend to have really good insight into answering some of the biggest questions that you might have at this stage. So again, asking for help there, going to counseling if that's what you need, and then making sure that you're staying connected to those family and friend networks as well will be really critical.
And the last one is know that it's a process. You're not going to be able to figure this out at night or overnight. It's not going to come easy. There's a process to it, much like that car example I gave of the crash dummy, and it takes a while to get there. You're going to get there, but there is no it's got to happen by this date. Terri and I can both talk about how, our life keeps on evolving and changing as we go through. When I first started in working with college students, I didn't work as an academic advisor. I worked in residence life. I moved to student activities, I then moved to advising. And so it's a process all the way through that. Here's some things that you can consider as you're going through, though. Set those small goals, so that way you know what you're working for. We don't have to figure out our life from here until the end date, this moment. What we do need to figure out is, what are we going to do this week to be successful? What are some ideas that we want to do by the end of the semester? What are some courses we may want to take? So that way we can plan for what we hope our future might be, knowing that we're going to be adaptable along the way. Celebrate those small wins. Sometimes you work really, really, really hard, and you get a C in the class, and that is a huge success. Celebrate that. Sometimes that C means more than an A. Other times that A means the biggest celebration. You do you. You know where you can celebrate those small wins. Reflect where you're at and incorporate your values and skills into those aspirations. You just got your midterm grades. Reflect where you are on those. What can you do to improve? Is this something that you can adjust, talk with your professor, all of those things, get good feedback so that way you can make those changes for the future? Or is it something that you're going, you know what? This isn't really my course. I'm going to finish it out because I'm going to persevere, but maybe I actually really like this course and what I'm learning here better, and I need to explore that. And that goes along with meeting with your academic advisor, figuring out what your graduation plan might look like and how to best use those elective options. When I meet with students, a lot of times they tell me kind of what they'd like to do, so I can go, oh, okay, so when this class is available, you might want to look at it because I know this is what your future, what you're looking at right now. You might want to own your own business, so let's look at this class. Or you are working in this area, so let's look at this class, and we can plan accordingly. As Terri and I finish up today, we're going to leave you with one last question. You could use it to write in your journals. What might your future look like if you weren't afraid of failure? We talked early on about the Play-Doh, and regardless of the Play-Doh, it was still Play-Doh. Things might change, you might have to be adaptable, but you're still going to be there. So what would you do if you didn't have to worry about failing? And is that something you might want to pursue? The Play-Doh is yours to keep. Have a good Monday.